Hey folks, welcome to Moonshift Audio. In my opinion, automation is one of the most important things that you can use to bring your tracks to life. Good use of automation in the production and mix stages can really add character, interest, and life to your music. In this video, I'm going to take a look at a few things that you might want to consider automating in your own tracks, ranging from some of the fundamentals like gain and EQ to some more creative effects automations. Before we get stuck in, my name's Jack and I'm a UK-based music producer and mix engineer. If you're making retro, electronic, or UK dance-influenced pop music and you'd like to work with me on a project, feel free to drop me a line via my website, moonshiftaudio.com. But for now, let's jump into Cubase. Okay, so here we are in Cubase, and the first thing I want to look at in terms of something to automate to bring your mixes to life is gain. It's not the most exciting parameter, but it really can make a huge difference. Now, I've got my Future Island style synth pop track open here, and I've done a few tweaks just to demonstrate some of the different things that you might like to automate in your mixes. And I also did a video recently about how you can use a gain plugin or another parameter on another part of your signal path to automate the gain and leave your faders free, which is why on this bass guitar, I've got a gain plugin at the end of my signal path, and that's what I'm automating here. So let's have a quick listen to this verse. There is inside of me a little lonely. And you can see here that I've just automated the gain. That's a slow build. Not much, just a dB over the course of that verse. And when I'm looking out, you can see here I'm also automating the gain on the hats. It just helps give a very subtle raise in energy. And then as we get into the chorus, I've bumped the gain even further, just an extra couple of dBs, and it just helps to really give that chorus a bit of an impact. And you'll see at the end of the chorus that it drops back down. And it just, little gain automations like this really help your track to breathe. Without you I can't face the silence in my mind. So we've kept it up just for this intro. There is a side of me that no one ever sees. Now, it's something that you feel more than you hear, but just a few little automations like that can really add a bit of emotion to your mix. I'm also doing a similar thing with the gain on the lead vocal here. So you can see here, I'm just stepping it up. Now, this has been clip gained and it's quite heavily compressed. So the volume is not jumping around very much. So what I'm doing here is coming out of the verse. We bump it just a little bit. And I can really see through the mist, I know my darling. For the pre-chorus. And then again. In my heart of hearts, I know it for the chorus. And these little adjustments really do help to just keep the mix dynamic. The second thing that can be a great thing to automate, which is often overlooked, is EQ. Now, you can automate EQ, sweeps and all sorts, but perhaps the most simple and effective thing that you can do when you want to automate an EQ is just to automate the bypass. So what I've done here is created a sort of subtle intro by putting an EQ at the end of the drum bus. And you can see here, I've got a high pass filter at 90 Hertz and a little presence bump at 350. And that sounds like this. And what I'm really doing there is taking all the weight out of that kick drum. If we go up and listen to the bass, I've got a very similar thing going on here. So I've got my Pro Q, and this here is the automation on the bypass for this Pro Q3. And again, I've got a little mid-range, lower mid-range bump and a roll-off. And then when the verse kicks in, I'm bypassing that EQ and we get all the weight back in the bass. So if we listen to that, it's just a neat way of creating a sort of dramatic intro. You can do this much more subtly if you want. But it's a nice way of sort of leading in and then delivering the weight when the track drops.
There is inside of me a little lonely.
You really can do loads with EQ automation, but it's something that people don't often think to automate. Next up, I want to look at stereo width, which is an absolute classic. So what I've got here is, this is the bus with all of my synths in it. If I solo that, and on there, I've just got this basic stereo enhancer plugin, which is one of the stock Cubase plugins. Most DAWs have their own equivalent to this. And what I'm doing is I'm just, as we lead into the chorus, I'm pulling that width right back to 0 or mono. So you can hear all of that getting sucked into your center. And then I've automated it up to 150% when we hit the chorus. So the whole stereo field just sort of blows wide open. And if we want to hear that in the context of the mix,
Through the mist I know, my darling, that is where I wait.
you don't so much notice it going away.
You will listen to the silence, wait for it to break. In my heart of hearts,
But you do feel it come back, especially when you're going extra wide. Now, to be honest, this example is quite heavy-handed. In the mix, I would do something a bit more subtle. I probably wouldn't pull it back as low as fully mono, and I probably wouldn't boost it quite so wide in the chorus. But for this demonstration, I just wanted to really kind of overcook it so that you can hear what you can do with this kind of stereo width automation. Number 4 is effects throws. It's another classic, and it's a classic to do on so many elements. You could put a nice delay throw or a reverb throw off the back of a snare hit, but perhaps the most ubiquitous use of an effects throw has got to be on the lead vocal. So I'm going to zoom in a bit here, and we're looking at coming out of the chorus. Here's the vocal, and on that last line, silence in my mind, here's the word mind. You can see I've just faded up the send level to this effects return, which is called vocal effects throw. And on there I've got an Echo Boy, a Roomworks, which I then replace with a Lexicon 480L to match the main reverb for that vocal, and a filter, which for now I'm going to bypass. So let's just have a quick listen to that throw. Got the end of the chorus here, and we should hear this enormous delay just come off that one word, and then you'll notice that we drop the send right back to 0 because we don't want the rest of the verse, etc., going to that huge effect.
the silence in my mind. There is a
Now, to achieve that really, really long delay, I've had to actually do some automation on the feedback of this Echo Boy. Reason being that when you have the feedback as high as that, that will literally go on forever. Slowly becoming a little bit more saturated as it goes, because this is emulating a tape. And so what we need to do is to actually automate that feedback level to drop down as we come back into the verse.
There is a side of me.
So that delay will fade away. So we've automated our effects throw there, but we can add a lot more interest to that with some further automation. So what I've got here is another automation on the pan of that delayed effect. So let's have a listen to that. I'm just enabling the automation here.
The silence in my mind.
Just get a little bit of extra movement there in the stereo field. And finally, on the end of that, I put this Moog filter on a bandpass. The mix is about halfway, and I've automated the cutoff, which we'll see that move now. And it just gives that delay a nice bit of extra sauce.
The silence in my mind. There is a side of me.
So all of these extra things really add together just to give you just more interest. Yeah, you could have a simple delay throw, but why not automate the panning? Why not automate a filter on there? Make it unique, make it your own. The last thing I want to look at is another bit of automation on the vocal. And what I've got here is I've put a chorus. This is such a great chorus, the June 6 from Arteria. It's modelled on the chorus from the Roland Juno 6 synth. And what I'm automating on this is the mix, so that we get a little bit of chorus on the vocal at the start of the verse. Then you can see here, the mix raises up, and we're just adding a little bit of a different character to that vocal for the pre-chorus, and then we have it dry, i.e. 0% mix for the chorus. So I'll solo the vocal, and we can take a listen to that.
There is inside of me a little lonely.
So here in the verse,
And if I let it out,
very, very subtle. It's almost just adding a little bit of texture to the vocal.
there is a special place just down by the lake.
But when we move into the pre-chorus, and the phrases that are sung get longer,
I can really see through the mist. I know, my darling, that is where I wait.
just adds a nice bit of a shift in tone.
You will listen to the silence, wait for it to break.
So that's a chorus automation, just of the mix. But there's so much more you could do. Any kind of modulation effect you could bring in and out. You could change the depth or the rate of this to add a change in texture from one part of the song to another. You could do the same trick with a phaser or a flanger. You could automate the formant control on a pitch shifter if you were doing something more modern sounding. Any creative effect that you want to employ on any source, I'm sure there's something in there you can find to automate. And it's little touches like this that are going to make your mixes more exciting, more interesting, and if you do it right, maybe move the listener a little more. Okay folks, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe for more tips, tricks, resources and downloads from me at Moonshift Audio. Till next time.